Hello. So for those that are watching this video, I thought that I would put this together to help those that may be trying to do the same thing that I was trying to do and build a map board or a battle board, a cop board, if that's what you're calling it. Whatever your fancy is on the verbiage, that's what this is for. First thing you're going to need is 4 sheets of plexiglass. I got this from Lowe's. I'll put the link down in the description for the specific type that I actually bought. You can get sheets, and then you can actually have Lowe's, even Home Depot. They will cut these to size for you. These specific ones here are cut to 8 3/4 by 11 1/4. That seemed to be perfect for what I was using it for, but granted, this process could work if you're using larger size boards as well. When you start, of course, you need to take this plastic film off of the board, because you can't put the tape down with the plastic film over it, or it could mess up the project. So that's to start with. The next thing, you'll need a pair of scissors or a knife, as long as you're on a surface that does not matter getting scratched or cut. And then, so the person that initially showed me how to do this, they had 1-inch 100-mile-an-hour tape. My unit supply did not have any, so I just went to Lowe's and just got a 2-inch roll of 100-mile-an-hour tape, or it's actually 3M tape. Please don't sue me, 3M. And then I just basically put a cut down the middle, so I put it at the 1-inch mark, because 1 inch seemed to work perfect for this project. And then, of course, all you need to do is, once you cut it down the center, it'll continue to stay in that 1 inch there, so it's perfect. Now, as far as the color goes, I mean, they have silver, they have black. That's the only 2 color, and white. That's the only 3 colors that they had at Lowe's for me. If your unit has the army green color, that's cool too. But I mean, if you're trying to be more, tactical, I guess you could use black. So personal preference there. And then, of course, for this project, it would be a good idea to have 4 of these small binder clips. They make these in extra large, medium, small, and extra small. These are actually the small ones, and they work perfect for this project. So to get started, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the film off of this board here. Also, one thing to note is when you are working with this plexiglass, especially if it's already been cut, you need to be extremely careful when working with these sides here, because they can be sharp once they actually cut them. So be careful with that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to roll out a strip of the 1 inch. About right there should be plenty. Okay, now the first one you want to put down, put it as close to the edge as you possibly can. So about right there, and then center it on that 1 inch piece of tape. Once you do that, just kind of put some pressure on it and roll it back and forth on the middle, the left and the right. This will actually press down the tape along this edge down here. Now once you do that, you can see it is stuck to it now. I just take the tape and I cut it all the way at the edge. Or the scissors, excuse me. I take the scissors and cut it all the way at the edge. Now from here, just make sure it's still got pressure on it, and then just fold it down like this. Now once you fold it down, just take your finger and run it along the edge here like this. That'll press it on that side, and then from here, all you have to do is just push down a little bit at the top first. The reason I do this is because if you just go straight to the bottom, you could develop a bubble in there, and then it'll mess up the whole thing. So I usually just make sure that the top is flush and nice and flat, and then from there, the rest will pretty much fall in line. Just like that. Okay. Now, as you can see, there's a little bit of overlap there. You won't have to worry about that, because once you actually get your whatever products you plan on putting inside this. Whenever you get that done, you won't even be able to see those edges because the papers you put in here, whatever products you put in here will hide that. So if you do have a little bit of overhang, it's not going to matter. All right, next thing you're going to do is lay out another strip of tape. About right there should be good. And then you're going to lay it along the edge. Again, you want to try to get as close to the side as you can because you don't want any extra hanging off the edge. Let me do that one again. The whole purpose of not wanting it to hang off the edge is just so you don't have a lot of extra tape along the edge that you have to worry with later. Because if you have a lot of extra on the edges, whenever it comes time to start putting these pieces together, it can make it a little bit difficult because you're having to overlap tape on top of tape. So the less tape you have at the corners, the better. Again, you want to cut it all the way at the edge like so. Again, just put a little bit of pressure, not too much because you don't want to snap your board in half. And then from here, just fold it down. Press along the side. Just like I stated before, I usually get the seam started at the top, get it nice and flush, nice and tight at the top, and then just as you go at an angle with a thumb or a finger, just start pressing it all the way to the edge. Now, I do have a little bit of overlap there, but that's not going to make a difference. I mean, it is not enough to ruin the board or ruin the project. So you just push it down like that. And then if you just put a little friction on it, the heat from your finger and the friction that you put there on that tape will actually continue to press that down, and it'll stay in place very well. Same thing with here. Just run your finger across the friction from your finger, and of course the heat from your finger will a little bit melt the adhesive and make it a little easier to work with as you move forward into the project. All right, so the next step, roll out another strip of tape. As close to the edge as we can get it. It's a good thing I'm not a doctor because my hands ain't as steady as a surgeon for sure. Just kind of rock it back and forth on the middle, the sides. It's well stuck there now, so I'll cut it as close to the edge as you can get it. Just one more time rocking it, and then just lay it down. Just like that. Push your finger across there just to get it all nice and set. Work the top seam first. Get it nice and tight, nice and flat at the top, and then just go at an angle as you push it down the rest of the way. Now, if you do, actually this is a great point. So as you can see, I got a little bit of a bubble there. If you get a little bit of a bubble, it's not gonna ruin it, okay? You just push it down as much as you can, and it's still gonna be just fine. Nothing to worry about on that, okay? So that's basically one piece done. I'm not going to bore you with the rest, with me doing the same thing with the rest of them. So I will jump ahead to where I actually get the other pieces done, and then how you actually marry these pieces together. Okay, so something that I didn't mention before, but it's probably something that everyone should know about. As much as I love Lowe's and Home Depot and love shopping there, I love their military discount when so many other major manufacturers are not even offering it anymore. I just wanted you to know, if you go to the where the plexiglass are, and they have the cutter right next to the rack. If there's not somebody in that department already, whoever you ask to cut that glass may not be as experienced as the person that works in that department on a regular basis. Case in point, when I got home with these pieces last night, I realized that 2 of them were an inch too long. So I ended up having to measure them out and cut them myself with a box blade. So that is something to be aware of. Whenever you do if you get your pieces cut while you're at Lowe's or Home Depot, you need to verify. They usually have a tape measure sitting on that table there next to the cutter. You need to make sure that you double check the measurements and everything before you leave, because if you tell them the measurements and they cut them wrong, they will pull another piece of plexiglass off the shelf and they'll cut it, and they won't charge you the extra. So, because it was their fault that they messed it up to begin with. So that is something to be aware of. Now for this next part, in order to marry these pieces together, you basically just want to put them right next to one another as close as they will, because you know, some, like with this one, I just had to cut it with a box knife. It's not perfect, but you can see there are some edges that are sticking out there. It's not going to make a difference once we get these pieces together. But if these are as flush as they can be, just get them as close as they can, and then stretch out a piece of your 1 inch. You want to be about that much over at the top and about the same there at the bottom. So you can go ahead and push this side down, and then just sit your tape down, get your scissors, and then just check your distance there. Just about that much should be enough. And then from here, just center up your tape on your pieces. Make sure your pieces are still stuck together. Okay. That's pretty good right there. Just center it as best you can. For this one, just flatten it out. And then on the other side here, you just roll these pieces over. Make sure, roll them over tight so they're not too loose. Just push them down just like that. Same thing on this side. Roll it a little bit tight, not too tight, because you don't want it so tight that it's going to be causing a lot of friction. All right, so that's that part right there. Now for here, you flip it over. Just give this a little push. Again, be careful with the edges in case you have some jagged pieces. You don't cut yourself. Same thing as before. About right there at the top. Push that down so it doesn't come loose. And then stretch out a little more tape. About right there. Cut it. Center it as best you can. Roll it over. Tighten it up. All right, that piece right there is done. Now you'll do the next, and then of course when you do that, it actually creates your seam down the middle, so you will actually be able to fold this back and forth. Okay, now with these pieces, you'll see here in a minute, but I mean, just say for instance this is all you wanted. If this is all you wanted, all you have to do, take your binder clips, put it on the edge, fold it over, and it's done. Just put one on either side just to hold it down, and you can use this, and you'll have a front and back of any kind of product that you would want to put in there. Okay, but for me, I'm going to have it to where I can open it up similar to a book, and I actually can have 4 sides instead of just 2. So I'm going to put this to the side. Oh, sorry, before I forget, for the insides here, you can see that, I mean, it is kind of dusty just from laying around my house and laying out here in my garage. If you can wipe this off once you're complete. Okay, you don't have to make sure these things are spick and span. You don't have to have the space that you're putting these together surgical room ready. Okay, you just need to have them as clean as you can around the edges, and then the rest of it you can clean it. You can clean the middle sections once you get the entire thing finished. Okay, so next thing, we're gonna marry up these 2 pieces. Okay. About that much right there. Center it up as best you can. Roll it out. About right there's enough. Lay it flat. Push it down. A little air bubble, that's not going to make a difference. Just push it out, it'll be just fine. Okay, and then from here, just roll this over. Lay it flat, roll this over. All right, one more, and these two pieces will be put together. About right there. Okay. All right, now for the last part, you'll need a little bit of space for this. You'll take these, lay them out like so. Center it up, put a little piece over the edge just like for the others. Roll a strip out. Give yourself a little bit more at the bottom here. As I'm sure most of you have already figured it out, the whole reason for stretching these pieces out at the ends is so when they overlap each other, they'll hold each other together. That's pretty much the reason for this, okay? Okay, so roll that over, flatten it out, turn this over, flatten that out. Okay, and then one more piece and it is done. A little bit of an overhang at the top. Just flatten it out so it don't come loose on you. Just go ahead and center it like that. Flatten it out on this side, flip it over, roll those over, and this is your finished product. I didn't mention it before, but one thing to note is when you are putting these other two pieces here together, that you make sure you leave enough space in between, because as thick as this thing is, once it's actually collapsed, you won't be able to get this seam closed if you don't leave a little bit of a gap here in the middle. Okay, so that's just one thing to note. But basically, these two ends fold in together, and then this folds in like this, and then that's where you would put your binder clips. Now, this product is completely manipulated any way that you want. Of course, I mean, due to security reasons, I cannot put the products that I'm actually going to be using for the Army, but you know, just to give you an idea, I'll show you with some random papers from one of my daughter's schools. So basically, I mean, I would say I wanted to put this one here, and then I wanted this to be shown on the other side. I would put this one, you know, it's back to back, and then I've got this one here. So there are places in here where, like, for instance, if you have like your subordinate information, like, you know, knowing where all of your subordinate people are scattered throughout whatever field your exercise you're doing. I mean, this is just a a weird way of explaining it, but I mean, if you say you had unit information up here, and then you had subordinate information down here, that is one way to explain that. But I mean, you can put like smaller products all over like a sheet of paper and just tape it down, and that way when you put it here, I mean, you don't have to worry with trying to, you know, piecemeal everything on inside your board here. So for this, I'd want that to be, you know, I want my unit information, subordinate information, I want that to be showing right there. And then this one right here, I want it showed like this right here. So then I would just fold these pieces over just like this. I'd put my binder clips in, and then once you put your binder clips, it folds up. So now as you can see, I mean, you could use a map marker. You could make changes to whatever you need to make changes to here. If you make a mistake or something changes, you just a little bit of hand sanitizer, wipe it clean, or take a marker and then just wipe it off, and then you can make your changes to that. Then you flip it open, and then you got more products here that you can utilize. So you got stuff you can put here. You also got stuff you can put here, and you can map marker anytime, anywhere on this thing you want. And then you flip it over again, and then there's your whole nother side. So that's basically how this product works. So if you have any other ideas or recommendations that you would like to make, I would love to hear them. Are willing to make a video and summarize what you've done with your type of map boards or field boards, whatever you call yours. If you wouldn't mind doing a summary video on how you do yours, just to show it for everyone else, because at least when I started doing this, I mean, if I hadn't ran across the person that actually showed me this, which is one of the chaplains in the Army I work with, if he hadn't showed me this, I wouldn't have even known something like this even existed. So we'd love to hear recommendations. You could post links to things in the comment section. I mean, I'm sure others out there besides me have questions on how to build one of these things. So please comment, like, subscribe if you so choose to do so. But thank you for your time, and you have a great day.